Okay, everybody, why don't we go ahead and get started? Welcome to today's SCORE workshop, which is Website Planning 101, and it's sponsored by Cardsetter. My name is Jerry Smith. I'm a SCORE mentor at our local Piedmont chapter. For those that may not be familiar with SCORE, we're a nonprofit organization, a resource partner for the SBA, and we're actually 100% volunteer-based. SCORE basically has two main areas of focus. What we're mostly known for is one-on-one mentoring, and that's provided by experienced business owners and executives. And also we have a educational workshop program, what you're seeing today on this event. Really, the bottom line message is that SCORE is here to help local small business in any way we can. And if you like more information, the best place to go is to check out our website at piedmont.score.org. From there, you can see what other workshops are available and also click on the link to request a mentor. So I'd like to introduce our presenter, Jessica Baldwin, and also today's webinar host, Randy Barber. Jessica is the co-founder of Cardsetter, which is a new and easy-to-use website platform. And she's been helping small businesses launch successful websites for over 7 years. She also spent more than 10 years growing her own successful blog and entertainment website. And I'm really interested to hear what she has to say today. And looking forward to the presentation. So at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Jessica and Randy.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Jessica, and I want to welcome you to Website Planning 101. Thanks so much for registering for the webinar and for being here today. So here is what we're going to cover today. We'll discuss why planning out your website is so important, and we'll cover the common pitfalls to avoid. We'll talk about what we call a minimum viable launch point, and then we'll get into the 4 main steps for planning your website. Finally, we'll review how to choose your website platform and provider, and at the end, we'll have time, an extended period for questions. I'm your host, and a little bit of my background. So I have kind of a unique perspective when it comes to websites because I've been on many different sides of the website building process. In 2009, I started my own online business. It was called Billings365.com. It was a website for events and things to do in Billings, Montana, which is where I lived at the time. So have gone through the process of having someone build that website for me, and actually went through about 5 different redesigns or technology upgrades with that website over the time that I was running it. I also spent 3 years as a partner in a website development agency where we did WordPress websites for our small business clients. And I kind of served in a project management role, so helping get those projects organized. And then in 2016, one of my developers from that company and I launched Cardsetter, which is our own technology for websites. So we have our own platform that we are building websites on, and that's called Cardsetter. I also have Randy here with me today to help me with Q&A. Randy, would you say hi to everybody and tell them a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. Hey, everyone. I'm Randy. I am in Houston. I am a small business owner as well. I'm actually a customer of Cardsetter. And when I was launching my business in 2017, I started out with trying to build my own website on Wix. And turns out I don't have an eye for design. And shortly after that, gave up and hired an agency to build my website for me on WordPress. And then later, as we grew, we switched over to a Cardsetter website, which we have now. And so we just like to share what we've learned in our own website journeys with all of you. And I'm here strictly to manage the Q&A. And so if you have questions, please drop them in the Q&A box, not the chat box. They're easier to kind of manage for us in the Q&A. We've got a good group here. It looks like we have about 10 people. So a good size to be able to get to your questions, and we'll stop every 5 to 6 slides and ask some of those questions. And then while we go through this presentation, we're going to be walking through a website planning workbook. And you can download that workbook directly from our website, and I will drop a link to that in the chat box where you can download the workbook with us.
Okay, so first of all, why is planning your website so important? So a little bit of planning is going to go a long way for you. So whether you decide to build your website yourself or you decide to work with someone to build your website for you, planning ahead of time is going to help you gain clarity on what you and your customers need from your website. It'll help you prioritize what is most important. It's going to help you make better choices for your specific needs. It'll actually help you save time and money, and it'll streamline the entire process so you can launch faster. And that brings us to our pitfalls to avoid. So the first one, focusing on design or what the website's going to look like before you've made a website plan. So we see a lot of business owners put the cart before the horse with a focus on what their website's going to look like before they've planned out their website. So, they might start checking out website designs, themes, different templates and things like that before they know what assets they have available to make that design happen. So a lot of times when you're looking at other people's designs or you're looking at themes or templates, those templates will have, professional photos in certain places. A lot of times those photos all go together. They have a similar color palette. And those photos can oftentimes be what is really making the design pop. Now, if you don't have the same photos or similar photos, the design really isn't going to look the same. And similarly, those types of templates and themes will have places for text. And so a lot of times the business owner will then just try to come up with text to go in that spot because the template says some text should go here. But you really want to design your website around the story that you need to tell, around the information that you need to communicate for your specific business, and around the assets that you actually have available, not try to make your business fit into a pretty template. Along those same lines is choosing a platform before you've laid out your plan. So when you plan first, you're going to have a better framework for matching your specific needs to the platform with the features that are going to work best for you. And then again, choosing a designer or developer. So if you're thinking about having someone help you with your website, choosing a designer or developer before you've made a plan is a mistake. Because if you plan first, you can enter those conversations with your very specific requirements. So you're going to get a better estimate from the professional, and your project is going to cost less and move along much quicker because you're giving them all of the details for your website up front. So they don't have to go back and forth with you as much on, what your requirements are, what logins they're going to need to collect from you, what content they're going to need from the website, because you're going to hand all of that over on the front end, which is going to speed things up, which then also ends up saving money as well. Okay, so now that we know why planning is important and what pitfalls to avoid, I want to talk with you about what we call a minimum viable launch. So in working with hundreds of business owners on their websites, I've seen projects completely stall out because the business owner will be stuck on one specific page or section of content for their website, or there's something, they just don't have time to get to right away. They know they want this thing for their website, but then they get busy in their business and maybe they don't have time to get the information together for that section. So you want to try to avoid this by focusing on your minimum viable launch point. So what is the minimum level of functionality and content that you need to launch your website with? So an example, maybe you envision having a services page on your website with several service packages perfectly lined out. You're going to have what's included in each. You're going to have pricing on the page. And maybe you're going to make it so people can, purchase the service package right from your website. But maybe you're just starting your business, so you don't quite know what should go in each package. You don't quite know how you're going to price each one. So in the meantime, you could have just a broader description of your services and your expertise, what you're able to offer as a service to your clients. And then you could have a contact form for an initial consultation or for the website visitor to request a quote. you can make that page better and implement your grander vision later as more information becomes available or as you have more time to tend to it. Or another example is, maybe you envision having a member area, or you're going to launch a course. So you're going to have this login area with course content and things like that for your website visitors. But maybe you don't have that course together yet. Maybe you haven't, written all of the content or produced all the videos that you're going to have in that course. So you're not really ready to launch the course. But you could still get your website up and start showcasing your brand, describing your expertise, writing blog posts to bring traffic to your website, and building your audience so that when your course is ready, you actually have some prospects who are familiar with you and who might be ready to purchase your course when you have that available. So you don't want to delay launching your website because you don't have your course done. So you want to take on the mindset that your website is iterative and it will change and adapt as you have new information available or as your business's needs change. Okay, so next we'll get into planning your website. And as Randy mentioned, we do have a free website planning workbook for you to download. You'll get a PDF version along with a Google Sheets version. So whether you like to print it out and write on it, or you prefer to work on your computer, 2 versions so you can work with what is best for you. So when you complete the website plan, you'll be better equipped to choose the right platform, the right design templates, and to create your website faster. Or alternatively, you'll have a comprehensive plan to hand over to a professional, ensuring a smooth website building project with them. Okay, Randy, before we get into the steps, did we have any questions?
We have not had any questions pop in the Q&A yet.
Okay. All right. Well, if you guys think of anything, go ahead and ask them as they come to you, and we'll try to answer some of them as we go. Okay, so planning your website. The first thing that you want to do is outline the technical details and features that you need. So you want to take an inventory of any tech that you're already using, if there's any, and consider the features and functionality that your website is going to need. And then you want to consider what additional tools you might need to help facilitate those features. So here's what that looks like in our planner. So to get started, we're going to log the business name, indicate whether we're building a new website or moving an existing site, input the website address and where you have that registered. So where is your domain registered? Maybe you have it at GoDaddy or Google or somewhere else. This type of information, again, is really useful if you do work with someone else because they're getting an understanding of where all your accounts are and what they might need to integrate on your website. We also have space for your social media accounts, so you can put all of those links there so you can remember to be sure to add those to your website when the time comes. And you can start thinking about the features that your website needs with our features checklist. So are you going to blog? Do you envision having a freebie or download as a lead capture? Maybe you're going to have some kind of PDF resource that people can download in exchange for their email address. Does your website visitor need to be able to book an appointment with you? Are you selling products? Will you want to be able to accept payments through a form? Do you have a membership program? Is there anything else that you can think of that you want for your website? Now, don't look at this features checklist and think like, oh, my website has to have all of this. It's on the list. I must need it. No, you want to check off the priorities for your website. Think about how your website's going to function. What does your website visitor need to be able to do or see when they visit that website, and prioritize those features, not feel like you need everything, because not every website needs every single feature that exists. If you're going to take payments on your website of any kind, you are going to need a payment processor. So maybe you're already using one of the following that we have listed here. We have Stripe, Square, PayPal, and other. A lot of brick and mortar businesses, coffee shops, merchants, salons, things like that, will often use Square for their point of sale. And so they may want their website to also integrate with the same payment processor. So you can check that off if that's your situation. If you don't have one selected yet, and you know you want to take payments, my favorite is Stripe. And that's because it integrates with so many different tools that are out there. And they actually have now added, so you can take in-person payments as well as online payments through their system. So I like it just because it integrates with so many online tools that if you choose Stripe, there's a good chance that if you're going to use some other tool, it will work with Stripe as well. Do you already have an e-newsletter? You know, maybe you have a Facebook page or you have a website and you're redoing it and you have launched an e-newsletter. If so, you can check off the one that you're using. If not, hopefully this prompts you to start looking into different e-newsletter software. If you're going to do any kind of email marketing, if you're going to capture leads through that lead capture that we talked about, then you're going to want to nurture those leads through email. And so you're going to need email software to do that. So some of the most popular, again, are listed here. There's lots and lots of options out there. So you can kind of go through and find the one that has the price point and the features that you're looking for. Then at the bottom, we've left room to describe any other specific software that you need your website to work with and any other features that are specific to your business that maybe we don't have listed here in this features checklist. So if there's something you know that you want your website to do and it's not listed here, go ahead and describe that in that space. When it comes to other specific software, I'll give you a couple of examples. So we work with a home builder who uses a piece of software that his clients can log into to see how their project is progressing. And so that particular software provides an integration so you can add the login and contact forms from that software onto your website. So that's a case where that particular business is using a very specific piece of software in their business, and they want that to integrate with their website. And so we added that integration to their site. Another example is, you know, a lot of small business owners use a piece of software called HoneyBook that facilitates invoicing and project management. It has a scheduler like Calendly and things like that it provides. And it has ways to integrate those features into your website. So you can add the scheduler from HoneyBook so people can book an appointment. You can add the contact form, generate that from HoneyBook so that when people fill out the contact form on your website, their inquiry and their information lands in your HoneyBook account and it acts as kind of a contact management system for you. So that would be another case where maybe you're planning out your business, you're thinking about the different tools you're going to use within your business. And some of those tools might have integrations for your website. And so you want to list anything like that here. So you can plan on using those things that, you know, might be provided in one software on your website. Okay, so if you're creating a website, you also want to track your website visitors. Now you can do that with Google Analytics, which is free. And it would also be a good idea to get your Facebook pixel installed right away as well. And if you plan to do any advertising on other channels like LinkedIn or Pinterest or anything like that, look for their pixel integrations and make sure you plan to add those to your website as well. Now, Google Analytics will let you see how many people are visiting your website, how much time they're spending there, which pages are most popular, if they're coming from a mobile device or if they're visiting on their desktop and things like that. So all kinds of good, useful information that you can track to see how your website is performing. You know, one of the things that I use Google Analytics for the most is I write content for our website on Cardsetter, and I like to see over time how that content is performing. So, you know, is this particular article getting read often? If so, then I know to make more articles like it. And I can see if people are visiting those articles through, clicking through from our social media or, visiting from a Google search. So I can understand how my actions are performing on my website. As far as the Facebook, Pinterest, LinkedIn pixels, those are basically mostly for your advertising. And having those installed ensures that you can see how your campaigns are performing if you start running ads. And the important thing is you want to have those pixels, you kind of want a future plan, even if you don't plan on doing Facebook ads right away or anything like that. Having the pixel installed ensures that the activity on your website is being tracked. So if you ever want to do retargeting or anything like that, that data is being tracked and you can use it in future campaigns. Okay, it looks like maybe we have some questions, Randy.
Yeah, Christine said this is really helpful. We're glad to hear that. Donna said, Randy mentioned Wix.com. Our company already has a website registered with Wix. However, we would prefer not to pay annually for their services that we have yet to experience. We don't mind paying for the annual website fee. We found it difficult to get up with anyone from Wix. Do you know how to do that?
I don't know the ins and outs of Wix customer service. I would try, calling and try to sort that out directly with a rep there. I know different platforms have different, methods of providing service. And I think anything related to billing would probably have to go through their billing department. So I would keep trying to get in touch with someone on the phone there, probably.
That's it.
Okay. So while we're on this section, I want to mention registering your own domain in your own domain account. So your domain is your website address where people are going to access your website. So it's going to be your .com, .net, whatever you choose for your website. And the reason you want to register it in your own account is to ensure that you are the official owner and you always have access to your domain. So if you choose a do-it-yourself platform of some type, Squarespace or Wix, they might have a way for you to register your domain when you're setting up your website. And they love this because it makes their service even more sticky. You have more stuff there. It's harder to switch if you want to switch later. It can be a little bit cumbersome if you do decide to change platforms someday to get your domain out of your Squarespace or Wix account. Like we had one customer we had to help get they had set up their domain through Squarespace and somehow their email was all tangled in there as well. And getting that all untangled from Squarespace so they could actually close down their Squarespace account was a bit of a process. And so it's much easier and straightforward to be able to switch platforms. Like, someday a new platform might launch that has a feature that you just really know would benefit your business. You want to be able to have that flexibility to change if you need to. And it's just way, way easier if your domain and email and things like that are all just housed with GoDaddy or Google. It makes them more flexible to move. Now, if you work with a freelancer or agency, they might offer to register your domain for you. But if they do that, they're probably going to register it in their domain account, which means technically they're the owner for all intents and purposes. But your domain is a really important business asset. If something were to happen where that agency or freelancer didn't pay the bill on it, then all of a sudden it expires. If they decide to, close up shop and move to Fiji and quit doing websites, and you can't get a hold of them, it's really hard then to get your domain back once it's registered in their account. So I just highly recommend that you register your domain on your own, in your own account. It's just a safeguard, gives you future flexibility, and ensures that you're managing your domain as the important business asset that it is. Okay, so business info. So in this section, we're going to spend time on the description of the business, the ideal customer, and we're going to define the exact action that we want our website visitors to take. So you're going to begin with your general business description. What does your business do? What products and services does it provide? Next, you're going to describe your ideal customer. Now, this is a pretty important section when it comes to your website because we're thinking about who the website is for. So what are their needs? So I like to use this simple fill in the blank statement to think about this person. As a type of person, I want some goal so that some reason. So you're going to fill that out from the perspective of your ideal customer. So for my business, Cardsetter, that would be, as a small business owner, I want to spend less time building and administering my website so that I can spend more time on revenue generating activities in my business. So that's how I would think about Cardsetter's ideal customer and how they think about their websites. So I'm filling that out from their perspective. For a financial planner's ideal client, it might be something like, as a busy 30-something, I want to invest in my future so that I can retire with a home on the lake. So when we describe who our customer is and what their desires are, it helps us design the website and our copy around their needs. So on this page, we also have space for your key benefit statement. So now that you've thought through who your ideal customer is and what do they need, you can craft your key benefit statement to speak back to them on why your business is the best choice for their needs. So for a financial planner, the key benefit statement might be something like, Lee Humphrey takes the overwhelm out of financial planning. He'll help you take simple steps to achieve your big dreams, beginning with just 30 minutes of your time to get started. So the ideal customer statement is something that we're going to reference. It's kind of our guiding light when we're planning our marketing and our website on, how we're going to speak to our customer. Whereas the key benefit statement might be copy that we would actually use on our website or in our marketing. So next, you want to list out your main products and services with a simple description for each. So this is going to be really important for easy reference when you start planning out content and organization of your products and services on your website. And then what is the primary action that you want your website visitors to take? So that's going to be different for every business. So you might want your website visitors to request a quote, sign up for an initial consultation, buy a specific product, sign up for your free resource, or any other number of things. So what is the number one thing that you want them to do? That's going to be your call to action, and you want to plan your website around helping your visitors take that action. So now that we have our technical details outlined, we've defined our business, our customer, and the action that we want them to take, we can take an inventory of our assets. So in this section, we're compiling the graphics that you have available, along with any copy that you're using to market your business. We're going to organize all of that in one place where it's easy to access. If you work with a designer or developer, this is very useful because you can send them all the assets that they're going to need to create your design. And if you build your own website, it's nice to have all of these assets in one place as well, so you can pull from them, kind of plan what you're going to use on your website, have that all in one place, and pull from it as you're building your website. And I would also say that if you plan to hire someone to do any kind of design work for you, it's nice to have all those assets in a shareable drive so you can send that to anyone who might be doing any kind of design work on your behalf. And Google Drive and Dropbox are good options for that. They both have free plans that are pretty generous, so they can handle most of that storage. On the worksheet, you're going to include your tagline, any other copy that you're using to market your business. You'll check off the assets that you have available. So if you have a logo, if you have that freebie or download asset that we've talked about, if you have any headshots or brand photos, maybe you've had a video produced for your business, anything like that that you have available that you could use on your website, you can log here. And And then you'll provide a link to the folder and log any color preferences or font preferences for your website. So if you end up working with someone to do your logo, they might provide a brand guide to you. And if that were the case, you'd want to pull from that brand guide to log the color preferences or font preferences here. Or if you're doing your own design work, you can log any fonts or colors that you're using in your design work for your business. Okay, so then we are on to the last step in planning your website, but it's really the largest step, and that's your content. So when we talk about content, this is more than just copy or writing the words for the pages on your website. It really starts with prioritizing information and clearly communicating with your audience. So it's going to include how the content's going to be organized, what type of content you need where. So, certain images you want on certain pages, videos, like where are those going to go? Where is this written text that I need to communicate going to go? Where does it make the most sense? Maybe you have an infographic that helps explain what you do or is a valuable asset to your audience. Where is that kind of information going to go? So it can be helpful to think about your content in a flow chart, or what we would call a sitemap. So you're going to start with your homepage, and most every website is also going to need an about page and a contact page. But the other menu items are really reliant on your business, but it's a good idea to get those planned out ahead of time. So if you go back to thinking about your ideal customer and their needs, what information do they need to be able to find quickly on your website? So this can be a good way to prioritize what should be in your menu. So a few generic and common menu items might be headings like services, shop, if it's an e-commerce store, or pricing. But you could also use very specific names of products or services. So for example, if you were an accountant, you might have a menu item for bookkeeping and a separate menu item for tax preparation. So, maybe your most popular services, you actually have menu items for those. Or if you were e-commerce and you were doing an apparel store, you might have menu items for tops, bottoms, accessories, shoes, etc. for your main product categories. So once you have created an outline for your content, you can start planning the content and writing your copy. A good place to begin is your homepage. So what is the most important thing that your website visitors need to see when they hit your website? So again, this is a good place to look back at your ideal customer, your key benefit statement, and your call to action. These should be the priority on your homepage. And then you want to support those three things on your homepage and throughout the rest of your website. And some of these pages from the workbook are pretty generic, just space to log your thoughts, like what should go on your homepage. So just kind of free space to write in your copy, take notes about any images or things like that are going to go on that page. So let's look at a few homepage examples. So this is Brit Smart Security's homepage. This is the section above the scroll. So what we would call the hero section. And it says, let us keep your family secure and connected. And then smart security and home installation in Columbus and Medina, Ohio. And then they have contact us as their call to action. So right away, this website is communicating the key benefit statement. So keep your family secure and connected. So they're doing that through the copy, but they're also doing that through the adorable family photo that they've chosen for their homepage. So Brit Smart Security offers home security and home connection services. So that makes a lot of sense, right? And then they're helping to define the target customer as families in Columbus and Medina, Ohio. So they're kind of, qualifying their service area, which is a good thing to do. If you are a local business who serves customers or clients, within a certain geographic area, be sure to put that information on your homepage as well. Now, Brit Smart Security is not excluding single people who want to keep their homes secure and connected, but you know, they're not excluding single people who want to keep their homes secure and connected, but they know that families are most likely to be motivated to hire them. So they might have looked through their existing customer list and noticed that people contact them, when they've expanded their family and they're starting to think about, their home safety or, smart home services that maybe make their life a little bit easier. And so that's probably, the reasoning behind their targeting. Now, one thing I would consider doing to make this a little bit better is maybe a better call to action button. But, Britt, this is probably based on how they work, how they're currently operating in their business. People probably have to contact them and ask their questions. Maybe they go out to do a quote or things like that. And so it's perfectly okay to have simple contact us. I would maybe have like a booking link, like, schedule your free consultation where they could pick a calendar time to talk. That might be an improvement, but it's really based on how the business is operating. It might be that minimum viable launch strategy for the way they're working now. So this is another site. This is for Midway Bravery, which is a book for anyone who appreciates the greatest generation's wartime sacrifice. So this book is really speaking to World War II history buffs. Might not resonate with you or I, but that's okay. Your website is not meant to appeal to everyone. It's supposed to appeal to the people most motivated to buy your book or do business with you. And then we'll look at one more. This is Go Unite. This is Randy's company. So Go Unite is a member-based event organization. So right towards the top, she says completely planned events. And her support copy says, we bring people together who like to get out, try something new, meet new people, reconnect with old friends, and really experience all Billings has to offer. So sit back, relax, and enjoy our completely planned events. And then she's got this fun graphic with her call to action that says, become a member. So visitors early on understand exactly what Go Unite has to offer and how to take action, how to get in on the fun. They should become a member, or she does have a secondary option to purchase event tickets, but really she wants to drive that membership. So that is the primary call to action. So now that we've considered what should go on the homepage, we will dig into the rest of the site pages. Do we have any questions in the chat or Q&A, Randy?
We don't have any questions yet.
Okay, it's a quiet bunch. All right. So, okay, so next you're gonna want to do a detailed outline of your products and services, and you're gonna provide descriptions for each. So earlier we did kind of a general category overview of products and services, but this would be like your inventory list. So if you were doing e-commerce, for example, you'd want to have each product name, the description, the price, any important variables, if weight is a consideration, if there's different sizing, colors, things like that, you would want to list all of that here. But same thing if you were a service-based organization, you would want to list all of the services that you can be hired for on this sheet in detail. So if you were hiring someone to build your website for you, especially if it's e-commerce, having all of these products here in the spreadsheet makes it easier for them to get those products added to your website as they're building out your site. And it might save you some time, because otherwise they might say, well, here, your website's done, you can enter all of your products now. Whereas if you hand them over to them early, there's a good chance they'll be on your site. Also a good time to start collecting some testimonials from your existing customers. Now, some of you may be operating, you have businesses, you're planning on doing a new website, so you could start asking your customers for testimonials or pull testimonials from other places like your Google My Business listing or your Facebook page or things like that. If you don't have testimonials yet, you're a new business, that's okay. But hopefully this prompts you to consider asking for them as you start doing business, so you can add them to your website later. Testimonials will help you build trust on your website, and you can use them on your homepage and throughout your website. Maybe your more sales heavy, high intent pages, your pricing page or your services page, things like that, adding a testimonial here and there to just reiterate and assure the customer that you're a good quality business for them to work with. In the planner, we have several generic worksheet pages for your content as well. So you can think of these, the menu item, that's going to be the main heading, that's going to show in your navigation. That's going to be the primary page under that navigation. And then you might have sub pages under those menu items. So you can use this for the main page and then any sub pages that are going to go in that section. So you can write the content that's going to be on the page, include the title of the page, include any images and things like that, log any notes that you want for each page here. Your About section should include information about you and your business. So this is where you can really describe your business's background and experience, showcase your expertise, really convince people why you're a reputable company for them to work with. If you have a team, if there's more than one person in your business, you could also include a team subpage in your About section or include your team members on your About page. The contact page. So we want to make it easy for our customers to contact us. So every website should have a contact page, but you might also want to consider other ways for your customers to reach out to you. So if your customer, for example, commonly reaches out to you through Instagram Messenger, because maybe you're really active on Instagram and people are always inquiring about what you do there, you might want to list, reach out to us on Instagram Messenger. And you could provide a link to your Instagram account where they could message you, for example. So you want to be available wherever your customers are, and then list all those options on your contact page. This is also a good spot to include your business address if that's applicable. So if you have a location where people come in and do business with you, you do want to list your location on your contact page. You might also want it on your homepage if you're like a restaurant or, a business that people are frequently looking for directions or hours to your business. You might want those on your homepage as well. If you are servicing a local area, but you don't have an address, so like maybe you work from home, but your clients are all local, you don't probably want to list your home address here, but I would include some copy about the service area. So, serving clients in whatever the location would be. Let's see. Oh, and one note while we're on this page, I see a lot of websites that will only have a contact form. So they don't list a email address, they don't list a phone number. And I don't know about the rest of you, but I've been on plenty of those contact forms where I filled out information and I don't hear anything back. And I don't know if my email went to spam. I don't know if the business owner is just ignoring me. I don't know what happened after I push send, but I don't have another way to get in touch. And so I am a big proponent of providing more than one way to let your customers contact you, whether that's listing a public email address or phone number, whatever it may be. I know that we're all, trying to avoid as much spam as we can in our inboxes. But I think that the risk of losing out on customers because it's hard to contact you is greater than the burden of dealing with spam. So I wouldn't want to put up that friction. Want to make it easy for customers to get in touch because they want to do business with you. Okay, so once you've gotten through all of that, you've successfully planned out your website. I know that it's a lot to think through, but I hope the framework has helped simplify the process for you. We'll finish up with platforms and providers, but I can take a few questions. And I'll go back a slide because I understand this can be distracting with Tina Fey repeatedly high-fiving herself. So, questions.
Yeah, so we have a couple questions on the contact form. So what if my coaching services are online? Do you need to put an address or say my services are online?
Yeah, I wouldn't put your address in that case, especially if you serve clients all over. If you're open to, nationwide clients that you work with as a coach, that would be fine. If you were a coach who was focused on, clients in a specific geographic area, I would list just the places that you do serve on the page, but not necessarily an address, a physical address.
And second question, it says a wealth of information. What about privacy information?
Yes, so recommend having a privacy policy, terms of service on your website. I am not an attorney though. I wouldn't generate those for our customers because those really should be done specific to your business. So, obviously the very best way to do that is to have an attorney craft that for you. But I know that's not practical for many businesses just starting out. So some other options would be, to use a service like LegalZoom or Rocket Lawyer to get a generated terms of service for your website, where you would input your information where you're doing business, and then it will customize that information for you.
Okay, that was all the questions, so we can go ahead and move on to platforms. And for anybody that joined us a little bit late, I am going to drop the link again to the website planning workbook that you can download from our website, and I'll drop that in the chat to everyone.
Okay, so platforms and providers. So when you're evaluating the many different options on where to start your website, of course, you have to make sure that the option you're looking at has the features that you need as you've outlined in your website. But then you have to begin thinking about some of these other considerations. So we're going to go through these questions, and I want to make sure, you understand, like, there's not a perfect answer to any of these. I'm not saying like, that there's a correct answer, but I want you to, when you're looking at your different options, ask yourself these questions about the options you're considering, and then just decide if how they handle these things actually work for your business, because every option is going to have a plethora of different ways that they handle these things, and there's no right or wrong to how they do that. It's just how their platform or they as a provider do business. And you just need to be aware before you sign up for something on how it works, and make sure that you're comfortable with how it works before you, commit to something. A good example, the question we had earlier about Wix, I'm paying annually, but I'm not seeing the services, like, you want to try to avoid those kinds of things by understanding what you're going to get and how things are going to work before you sign up. And so hopefully these types of questions will help mitigate some of that for you. So will it grow and adapt with your business? So we've talked about how, you're going to launch your website in one state, or to reflect the state of your business now, and your business may grow, change, adapt as you go along, and your website is going to need to be able to grow and change with your business. So how easy is that to do with the option that you're looking at? Do I want to spend my time or money, and what is the value? So if you choose a do-it-yourself platform, you're obviously committing more of your time. If you choose someone to help you with your website, you're committing more of your money. Both of those are real expenses in your business. So you should consider, on the time side of things, what might I be doing with my time if I weren't sinking so much of it into building and administering my website? You might have more time to prospect other, clients or work with your existing clients or things like that. So just a consideration that you should make before you assume that do-it-yourself is the best option. Do the platform's features match my requirements? You've created a plan now, and so you can go through your features and measure those up next to the platforms you're considering and make sure that they have what you need. Are hosting and an SSL and other essentials included? So your website is made up of, a bunch of digital files. Just like those digital files have to be stored, your digital files have to be stored on your computer or in a cloud folder somewhere. Your website has to be stored somewhere in order for it to be accessed on the internet. So if you choose a do-it-yourself platform or you choose any subscription-based service, hosting is generally included if you're paying on a monthly or annual recurring basis. If you do a WordPress website or use a content management system like Joomla or Drupal or something like that, those websites have to have storage purchased. So they need hosting. And so, whether you build your own on one of those platforms or you hire someone to build it for you, hosting will have to be set up. Sometimes the people who build those websites will set up your hosting and charge you for hosting and manage that for you. Some do, some don't. You just need to understand, what they offer and how that will work. An SSL is a security certificate on your domain. It's basically required by Google these days, so you need to have one. At Cardsetter, we provide those in our subscription, and I assume a lot of other subscription-based platforms do as well. But again, if you go the content management system that needs hosting option, then you probably will need to set up an SSL separately, which you can do in your domain account. Do you have access to make edits on your own? Of course, if you choose a do-it-yourself option, you can get in there and make changes on your own. Other services and other providers will have different policies around this. Some really high-end agencies require all changes go through them, which of course has either a retainer fee or hourly charge to make those changes. Some freelancers and agencies will give you full access to the WordPress website they built you. Some will only give you partial access, so you can't make all the changes, but you can, maybe add blog posts and things like that. So it's just something that varies and just something you should look into before you sign up for someone's service. What is the cost of future changes? That's kind of along the same lines. If you need someone to make changes for you, is there an hourly fee? How easy is the platform if you choose a do-it-yourself option? How easy is it for you to get in to make changes? How much time are you going to have to invest later if you decide to make changes? How is support handled? Is there a cost? So every option is going to have varying support levels. Different subscription options are going to have different support levels in their various pricing tiers. Some might offer priority support and your own, you get to talk to the same person every time you call on some of their higher end plans, for example. And then what happens if you want to switch? So this one's really important, in my opinion, because you might want to switch platforms or providers later. So how easy is it to do so? So for example, at Cardsetter, if somebody cancels their subscription, we run an export of all of their content. So all of their copy, images, things like that get exported into an organized, folder that can be imported into some other compatible platform. But different platforms have different policies around this. So some will let you take some pages and not others. Some won't let you do an export whatsoever, which means then that you would have to manually move all of your content if you ever wanted to go onto a different platform. And if you've invested all kinds of time and effort into, writing hundreds of blogs or creating a video library or something like that on your website, it can be really cumbersome to move all of that manually. So you really want to have a way to export your content into something else. Now, one note while we're on this particular topic is, people will often say, well, do I own the website? And what they mean is, do I own all of the code and all of the content and all of the things on the website? Can I just take the website in its entirety and move it over here to some other service? The only time that really happens is if you are moving like a WordPress website from one storage to another storage. So you're switching hosting. But taking a WordPress website, you can't take a WordPress website in its entirety, like in its design and theme, and upload it to Squarespace as is. So you want to be able to take your content and then configure it on Squarespace, for example, and have the ability to take that content and implement it into the Squarespace framework, the Squarespace design, the new site you're going to do over on your new provider. So that's how switching works. You can't really take a designed website from one platform onto the other, but you can and should be able to take your content with you, which is the most important piece. Okay, so when you're evaluating the different options, of course, feature needs are essential. So you want to make sure you have all that. You want to go through all those questions that we talked about. And you want to think about what you want to spend, because there is always a cost. It's either your time or your money. And you have to decide, how to best allocate those resources. So if you go with a do-it-yourself platform like Squarespace, Wix, or Shopify, the main benefit, of course, is the cost savings because, typically you're going to pay a low monthly fee instead of a big upfront cost. However, it is going to cost you your time, and your time might be better spent in other areas of your business. Your time might result in more revenue spent in other areas of your business. So just something to think about when you're looking at that option. And then on the other side of the spectrum, of course, is the done for you option through an agency or freelancer to build your website for you. Of course, they're going to help, make sure it looks good. They're going to help you think through, how to set it up, what content should go where, how it should be organized, take care of all of the technical details, which saves you a bunch of time. Of course, this often has a higher upfront cost that I know is sometimes less desirable, especially for new businesses. My business, Cardsetter, falls into the middle. We're kind of this hybrid option. So we offer an easy to use website platform. So our customers can get in and edit and add content and do what they need to do there, but they don't actually have to build their own website. We design and create their websites for them. So we really aim to get people started off on the right foot with their website. And then we include changes and revisions in their monthly fee so that they have professional help along their side as they go. So if they want to make a design change, add a whole new section, implement some new feature, they don't have to undertake those more complicated things on their own. They can send that to the Cardsetter team and we do it for them. So those are kind of the spectrum of options that you have to consider when it comes to platforms. And I know we've covered a lot of info today, and I'll open it up for questions if we have any.
Yeah, we have one question from Christine. I know this isn't the best option, but my business is just 1 year old and I'm not generating income yet. So what are your thoughts about using a freelancer from Fiverr if that's all you can afford?
Yeah, That is an a an option to consider. I would want to be sure to do really thorough. I wouldn't just rely on the reviews on Fiverr. I would ask for some contact information for references that you could call, and ask about how the process went with the freelancer. So I think that that is an okay option as long as you do your due diligence to make sure that they're good and reputable, and you're seeing a good picture of their design work and make sure that they do quality work.
And in that option, I mean, do you feel like you would rely on the freelancer to pick the platform, or would you pick a platform and then find a freelancer that uses that platform?
I would probably want to have my platform chosen, because you're going to want to know that you like the particular platform, that it's easy for you to use. So if you do want to do stuff on your own, or you do want to, take it elsewhere, maybe you don't want to use that freelancer for the long term, you want to make sure you're on a platform that you like and are comfortable with. So that would be my preference. I would want to do some research on the platform that I want to use, and then find a freelancer that works on that platform.
All right. That was the only question we had. So I will drop the link in the chat again for the website planner if anybody wants it. And then also I'll drop Jessica's email if anybody has any additional questions and you'd like to reach out to Jessica directly.
Jessica, I got a question, and it might not be answerable because it's pretty specific to the pricing, but the three categories that you've outlined, can you give us some general ballpark what it would be for an out of the box sort of WordPress, that first category, looking at the hybrid with Cardsetter, and then I assume it's probably some sort of hourly rate on the overall design, professional design sort of thing, depending on the intricacy, just so everybody and the audience can get a general idea of what costs might be looking at.
So on the custom agency freelancer side of things, so when I worked in the agency where we did WordPress websites primarily for our customers, most of our websites, I'd say the average cost was $2,500 to $3,500. Most of the websites we did landed in that range. Now, that's not to say that if you need a very simple one-page website to start with, that you can't get it for less. Like, I would probably budget around $1,000 if I'm going to have an agency or freelancer start my website for me. That would probably be the minimum that I would think about budgeting. And if I'm going to have it a little more complex, if you're going to do anything special, have a membership area or e-commerce or anything like that, you want to think more in the $2,500, $3,500, $5,000 range. Now, if you're doing anything super custom, like you're like, we've had people come and say like, oh, well, can you build me a website like Angie's List? Well, Angie's List is a huge, giant national company. They probably have hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars integrated into their website. So you can imagine that a custom website like that is going to cost more than the $5,000. On the do-it-yourself side of things, you're going to pay a subscription to use the software, and that's going to include your hosting and things like that. That's probably going to range from like $25. I think Wix and Squarespace maybe have tiers that start a little bit lower than that, but are fairly limited in their feature set for that. So, $25-ish, up to, I think Shopify for like really advanced e-commerce stores has an almost $300 a month plan. And then Cardsetter, so we operate on subscription. We have a starting plan at $49 a month. That includes design and setup, and it includes that ongoing help and support. So we really aim to kind of bridge the gap between those two options with affordable monthly pricing and easy to use platform, but more technical help than you would get from the pure do-it-yourself option.
Mm-hmm. And on the Cardsetter option, I don't want to take up too much time, but if you could just explain that hybrid a little bit more. I see the planning tool, which wonderful. I'm so glad you guys are presenting that and making that available to all of our clients. I think it's an outstanding tool. And, so I'd assume that you would work together with them to organize and fill out this tool. Now, would that be taken now from somebody on the Cardsetter team and with a basic design, or where does that hybrid come into place in terms of the work structure, in terms of what the client will be doing?
Yeah, so when someone signs up for a Cardsetter website, we have a process in place that kind of tries to help us unveil all of the stuff that I actually have in the planner. So they sign up and then they go through our onboarding process, and we have a website questionnaire that asks these types of questions. So we ask them to describe their business, tell us about their ideal customer, describe their products and services, tell us what they need their website to do. So we ask those types of questions in the onboarding process. And we use that information then to put together a custom design. We'll ask them about their design preferences and things like that as well. We have a project manager who reviews all of that, organizes the project for our designer. And then from the time that we have the responses to the time of seeing a completed draft website is about 7 days. And so we have all of the content that we can gather from the form on the site. And then it goes back to the Cardsetter customer for review, and they can make revisions. We add any content that they need to add, make any revisions that they want to see, and get it all, all to their liking before it gets ready to launch.
Wow, that's amazing. So you guys are really helping and holding the hand and going through that process. So you mentioned that the monthly fee, is there nothing additional at the beginning for all that upfront work that you guys do? That's included with the just the basic rate?
No, so we did a rebrand on our website, launched in October. We used to have a $199 setup fee, but we've actually, we're just kind of testing our service without that right now. And so we don't have one at present. That's not to say that we wouldn't add it back in the future, but right now we are not charging a setup fee of any kind.
Great.
So Christine was asking kind of questions about that. She said, so are you saying with Cardsetter, you can begin the process with $50 per month? And if so, is it easy to transfer from Wix?
Yeah, we, well, yes and no. So Wix is not particularly easy to get, they don't provide a good export, I'll say that. But we do have a process in place to extract your content from your Wix website and transfer it onto a Cardsetter website. We do that all of the time, so we can handle it, but Wix doesn't necessarily make it easy on their end to get your content out.
All right. I think that was all our questions. So I dropped Jessica's email in the chat if anybody wants to reach out to her directly if you're interested in a Cardsetter website.
Jessica, thank you so much.
Yeah,
Randy,
thank you
for your time. This was an outstanding webinar. Really appreciate you guys taking the time this morning or this afternoon to go through this, and again, providing that planning tool at no cost. And yeah, thanks again. And I'm sure all of our clients really enjoyed this.
Good. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for having us.
All right, guys, I'm going to close out the room. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.